Get your coffee. Huh? Hey, this is the Expat Community. My name is Pablo Arias with the International Relocation Partner, and this is the Expat Community podcast. This is something that we do every Friday. Actually, International Relocation Partner and We Speak Spanish. Two companies get together to sponsor this activity. Well, We Speak Spanish is a Spanish language school. An international relocation partner is an international moving company, a shipping company that help people move to countries like Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, and we want to help you. We understand if you're moving to a country that speaks Spanish, you need to learn the local language. So this is why we're doing this effort. We're also translating local news into English. So we're going through local newspapers in these countries, in our countries, translate those local news, what's happening in Mexico, what's happening in Panama. We want to translate that, and we share all of that in our website, which is www.theexpatcommunity.com. We also have expat groups. We have large expat group in Costa Rica. We have another expat group in Mexico that just reached 1,000 members. Within a few weeks, reach 1,000 members. So that's amazing. And our Professor Wagner, please say hi.
Hey, Pablo. How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
We're doing good. I look handsome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. I was like, hey, man, I look handsome. I got my coffee. I'm ready for
excellent
class.
Well, one more Friday after a very hard week working, helping to the expats. In my case, helping to my students to learn the language with my team, with my teachers in the different locations. So this is amazing. I'm happy to be here one more Friday with the idea to help all the expat community to get the language.
I want to ask, who is there? We have a few people that are connecting. Say hi, introduce yourself. We've been doing the class, but every now and then I like to ask, hey, who's there? Introduce yourself. Make comments. You can comment. You can, if we ask a question, you know the answer, comment the answer. If you have a question about Spanish, just do the question. We'll be happy to make this interactive. We are doing free Spanish classes every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Costa Rica time, 2:30 p.m. Panama time. Mexico City is 1:30 p.m. 3:30 p.m. Spain, and in Portugal that's 8:30 p.m. So let's start. You mentioned that you have a new way of presenting the class today. Wagner, hit us.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you. Yeah. So if you was connected if during the week you saw our previous class, so we will do a small review about that, and we will continue with exactly what we was talking that day. So remember, basically the idea is to give you some tools to teach you about how you can learn the language. So it's very, very important, how Pablo said some minutes ago. So it's very important to do that. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see it now? No?
It's
Yep.
now.
Now, yeah. The last week, we started to talk about one of the most important particles in our language. So it is the verb. So we started last week with one question. What is a verb? So now you know the answer. The answer is that the verb is one action. This is the only thing that I ask to my students, that they should learn about the verbs. However, let's do a small review about the other concepts that is important to know in this process. Okay, the next concept is about what is an infinitive verb. ¿Qué es un verbo infinitivo? And the answer is, the verbo infinitivo es la forma básica del verbo. An infinitive verb is the basic form of the verb. Wagner, but I don't know what is the basic form of the verb.
So plain basic. We said it yesterday. Yeah, I'm starting to learn. We said it. I mean, not yesterday. We said it last week. Plain basic is so eat. It's plain basic.
Exactly. Okay, and here we have the examples about what is a basic form. What is the basic form of the verb? Always when you see verbs in English in this form, to walk, to eat, to open, we are talking about infinitive verbs. This is the form of the infinitive verb. In our case, in Spanish, the infinitive verb in Spanish, you can see it here. For example, to walk in English, caminar en español. To eat in English, comer en español. To open in English, abrir en español. How do we identify the infinitive verb in English? With the particle to plus verb. To plus verb. Okay? But in Spanish, how we identify the infinitive verb, it's with the use of one ending. If you see the examples, in Spanish, we have three endings: AR ending, ER ending, and IR ending. Okay? So this is the definition of infinitive verb. Let's go to the second definition. It's like what is a conjugated verb? What is a conjugated verb? ¿Qué es un verbo conjugado? So the conjugated verb is when we modify the infinitive form of the verb. Let's go to the examples. For example, when you say in English, I walk, now that verb is not infinitive. Return to here. Let's go back here. Remember, the infinitive is when you say to walk, but now you are saying I walk. In that case, the verb, the original verb, it's already modified. Okay? En español, when you say in English I walk, we say yo camino en español. When you say she eats, now the verb is conjugated because we are modifying the original form. Remember, the original form, it was to eat, but now we are using she eats. En español, ella come. Finally, remember the infinitive verb, it was to open, but now here we have we open. The verb is not the same. The original verb, it's changed. So in that case, in Spanish, we will say nosotros abrimos. And this is exactly what we learned today. Okay? How do we conjugate the verbs? But let me finish our previous session. The other concept that we talk about, it was about what is a regular verb, what is a irregular verb. In this case, the regular verbs, it's the verbs that they use exactly the same root when we are going to conjugate them. So when you conjugate the verb and the root is always the same, that verb is regular. We will talk about how to identify the root. And finally, the other concept it was that what is an irregular. The irregular verb is when we modify both. We modify the root and we modify the ending. Okay, Pablo, this is what we studied in our previous session. If you want to know more about this, go to our previous video because we have more complete information. But now I want to go to the presentation. Now I want to go to the presentation. Okay?
Yeah,
About
nice.
how to conjugate, the regular verbs today in the present tense, because it's different if we do that in the past tense, and also it's different if we do it in the future tense. So today it's conjugation of regular verbs in the present tense. Okay, so here we have so we need to use a new ending. So all the verbs have a root, but also have an ending. And now you know that we will use the same root for all the conjugations. Here we have the conjugation, but let me go here. In the first part, we will see about the verbs that they ends with AR. Here we have one example, the verbo hablar. The verbo hablar. Pablo, ¿qué significa hablar?
To talk.
To talk. Okay. If you see the verb, we have HAVLAR, where AR it's the ending. The AR it's the ending. So that means that the rest of the word that is the root. So we will use the same root for all the conjugations. So this is something that we need to learn. Okay, Wagner, which ones are the endings? Okay, we have here, when you use the person I, yo, the ending it will be O. So this is a hint. Always when you conjugate a verb in the present tense using the personal pronoun I, the ending it will be O. So this is something that, and how you apply it, if you see the word yo ends with O, the conjugation of the verb it will be O. In this case, we will use the root and we will add the new ending. So when you say in English, I speak, in Spanish we will say, yo hablo.
Okay.
Okay? When you in English you say I speak, we in Spanish we will say, yo hablo. Okay?
See, and let me stop you for a second. Let me just say something. You see these things on the screen. Different conjugations. Yo hablo, tú hablas. Different conjugations, present tense, and then past. It's another thing, and then all of these things. But it's all about practice. It's all about practice. Here we are usually only connecting 20-30 minutes, and you cannot get the basics. But what you guys really need to do is you guys need to talk to make an appointment, visit the school, get to talk to Warner, and get immersed in a class once or twice a week, and just practice. I mean, in 3 or 6 months you'll be fluid, you'll be speaking Spanish. So that's what I would recommend, because there's a lot of things that we're just touching the basics, and I think it's important to stress that out, to explain that, of course.
Pablo, that is a really good explanation, because that is true. So sometimes the students, when they see this together, like, hey, Wagner, so we need to learn all these conjugations. Well, yes, You need to learn that. But we never are going to learn this in only one day, because this is a process. Okay. So now, because the effect of that presentation, we want to teach you all the conjugations, but in our process, in the class, this will be different. We will do this step by step. Okay.
And I have to say something else. Just
Tell me.
I mean, I'm sorry.
No
Um,
worries.
and it's important. I mean, it's important. A lot of people, learn, words in Spanish. They learn, hablo or eat or comer or hablar, but they don't conjugate. They don't conjugate. So it really sounds like and people would understand, because they want to be, kind. But it sounds like, there is a, like you're talking to a baby, or you're talking to, somebody that, you know what I mean. It sounds weird when you don't conjugate properly, and oftentimes you can lose the meaning of what you're saying, or confuse things. So this is important. Learning these things are important. Learning and practicing the conjugations are important.
Exactly, Pablo. And not only if you conjugate wrong. The situation is the pronunciation, because sometimes depends the way that you pronounce the conjugation of the verb. Ticos, or people who speak Spanish, is going to understand that maybe is this present or is this past, because depends where the person puts the accent. Because we will see in the following sessions that how we say this in the present, but if you say it incorrectly, maybe you are saying that in the past. Entonces that creates confusion, because when they speak, are you saying this about something that is in the present, or are you saying something that is in the past? That is important also. Okay, so if we continue with the endings, here you can see the information. See this with yo hablo, tú hablas. One important detail: H is silence in Spanish. So students sometimes they say yo hablo,
Yeah.
because that is how they say hotel, hospital, but we don't say that. We say, for us, the H is silence. Okay, entonces yo hablo, tú hablas. The next group, we have three personal pronouns there: he, she, and you. He, she, and you. This you is formal. So here we have tú, it's informal, and you, it's formal. When we use the informal, when you know the person, when the person is familiar for you. When do you use the formal? When you don't know the person, when you want to talk polite or with respect. That is very important, okay? Because that is what puts the barrier between the persons. So if you want to be my friend, if you are my friend, we will use the informal. If I don't know the person who is in the bank, helping me in the bank, so I will use probably the formal. Okay, that is important. In this group, we have él, ella, usted, and the ending it will be a. With we, nosotros, the ending it will be amos, and with they, the ending it will be an. So we will practice now here. In this case, this will be in English. I speak, you speak, he, she speaks, we speak, they speak. En español, it will be yo.
I can do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yo, yeah, I can do it with my heavy accent, my heavy Spanish accent, right?
Hey,
That's a
that is
joke.
that is why that we need that the people who is watching the video be with us alive, because we can practice with them. Okay.
Yeah, if you guys wanna connect and be, show your face to the camera and be on the class. If not, I'll do the practice with my Pico pronunciation,
Okay,
which I think is
Pablo.
good too.
Yo.
Yo hablo.
Tú.
Yo. Tú hablas.
Very good.
Él, ella habla. O
Nosotros.
ustedes hablan. Nosotros, meaning we.
We.
Nosotros hablamos.
Y ellos.
Ellos hablan.
Very good.
Ellas hablan.
Very good. Okay, Pablo, wait there. So this is the way of conjugation. We will use exactly the same way of conjugate verbs, but we need to pay attention to the ending of the verb. So this first example is with the verbs that they end with AR. Pablo, help me with the next group. The next group, remember, is exactly the same way of conjugation, but we will use verbs that they ends with ER. So in this case, Pablo, we have the verbo comer. The root of the verbo comer is come. We need to add the new ending. Okay, Pablo, help me with the conjugation. Yo
Como.
tú
Comes.
él
Come. O ella come.
Very good. Nosotros
Comemos.
y ellos.
Ellos comen.
If you see, there's some differences between the AR ending verbs and the ER ending verbs. This is important because if you use a different conjugation, so I know that you are using the verb, but the conjugation is incorrect. But we have one more group. And it's exactly the same way that how conjugate the verbs. But in this case, the verbs that we will use, it's the IR ending verbs, okay? So in this case, we have the example of the verbo vivir. Pablo, what's the meaning of vivir?
To be alive.
To live. What's the
to
meaning?
live, right? To live.
To live. What's the meaning of the verbo comer?
To eat, comer.
What's the meaning of the verbo hablar?
To talk.
To talk. Very good. Okay, let's go to the verbo vivir. So it's exactly the same way of conjugation. Okay, yo
vivo. Tú vives.
Él
vive. O
nosotros,
ella vive.
Nosotros
vivimos.
Ellos
viven.
Exactly. Okay. Remember, what we need to conjugate verbs, we need two things. One, who's doing the action. That is why we have here yo, tú, he, she, they. They are doing the action. And also, the second thing that we need to conjugate the verb is the tense. In this case, we are using the present tense. So if you have the verbo hablar and you want to conjugate the verbo hablar, we need to know who's doing the action and when, who is doing the action. And it's exactly the same with the other verbs. So these are the endings. This is the way to conjugate verbs in the present tense, okay? How you can practice this? Go to my website. We have a flashcard with the 77 most important verbs, regular verbs, and you can go and try to practice all of them. So this is the order. Yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos hablan. This is the order. This is how the order that we learn. However, what I suggest to my students is when you are practicing them, don't follow the same order. If not, try to do it in a different order. Why? Because sometimes, and this is something that real happen, when the students, they are speaking and they want to use the conjugation of they in their brain, they try to go through all the conjugations to get the final conjugation. But if you try to practice in a different order, you are going to avoid that process because your brain is ready to conjugate exactly in real time and not try to study all the conjugations. Okay, Pablo, with this, what I can do with one verb when it's conjugated, we can start to create sentences. So after you learn to conjugate verbs in the present tense, you can start to creating sentences. And this is the structure that we suggest to do that. Okay, we will follow the 4-finger system. So you can use your fingers to create sentences. Finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4. And we will put specific information in every finger. Do you want to know what is the info that we put there? Number 1, expresión de tiempo. So remember what we need to conjugate a verb. We need to know when the action is happening and who's doing the action. Well, that is exactly the information that we will use in the finger 1 when the action is happening, and in the finger 2 who is doing the action. In the finger 3 we will use the verb, and in the finger 4 we will use the complement in the sentence. So time, person, verb plus info. This is how you can make a sentence. Time, person, verb, and info. I have one example here. When the sentence is affirmative, we can say this. Remember, expression of time, subject or person, verb, and complement. And this is one of the sentences. Pablo, can you read it?
Yes, sir. Todos los días Javier lava los platos.
Todos los días, finger 1, Javier, finger 2, lava, finger 3. This verb is conjugated. Remember, it's not infinitive. The infinitive is when the verb ends with AR. But in this case, the verb is not, the ending is not AR. It means that the verb is already conjugated. Conjugated with the expression that in this case is every day, and the person that in this case is Javier. So information in finger 1, information in finger 2 is the information that we use to conjugate the verb, plus the info. When you say in Spanish, todos los días Javier lava los platos, it's when you say in English, every day Javier washes the dishes. And this is one sentence, this is one statement, this is a fact. Okay, so we need to learn how to conjugate the verbs with the idea to build correctly these kind of sentences. Why? Because the problem is sometimes the students, you say that at the beginning, sometimes the students or the people, when they speak Spanish, never conjugate verbs. This is one of the mistakes. Todos los días Javier lavar los platos. But we know that that is incorrect because we need to conjugate the verbs. Okay? So Pablo, so remember, today we studied two things. We did three things. We checked the previous concepts about what is a verb. Today, we saw the way of conjugation. Remember, using time, using the person. We saw that our verbs, that we have three different endings. They will use the AR, ER, IR endings. They will use different endings when we conjugate the verb. So if you are at home during the week, what I suggest is go to the verb, go to the video, take which ones are the endings, and try to practice. Every day, try to practice three verbs. One verb AR, one verb ER, one verb IR. And just do that. It will take only like 3 minutes doing this, but you will training your brain to conjugate verbs. After you learn to conjugate verbs, now you know how you can make sentences. These sentences, they are a fact. Every day, Javier washes the dishes. Every day, Pablo studies English. Every day, so you can create thousands of sentences doing this. Okay? What about next week? Next week, we will talk about how you can make sentences in the present tense with regular verbs, but negative. So how you can make one sentence negative. We will practice more. We will give more examples. We will have more examples about sentences using this structure plus negative sentences. Okay? We will practice with some verbs. Okay? And if we have time, we will do the same, but now when you have verbs in the past tense, because The conjugation of that verbs is the same way of conjugate, but we use a different endings. Okay, Pablo?
Well, that's amazing, Professor. Thank you so much. We'll be doing this every Friday, 1:30 p.m. afternoon Costa Rica time. Uh, I just want to remind everybody that we are broadcasting this. I get this question very often, by the way. Where are you guys? Where's the class? How do I sign in? Well, this is a free class for the expat community, people who are looking to move to Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Spain, or countries that speak Spanish. And we are doing this to bring the community together.
Pablo,
But
Pablo,
all of this, go ahead.
Pablo, yeah. I like this is free, totally free, but sometimes during the week or basically during the week, I receive messages from the students, hey, Wagner, how I can get your classes? Because I want to participate in the free sessions, but I want to improve my Spanish. If you give me the permission, I want to show you. So remember, we have 4 locations now. We have location in Santana, and now we have 11 groups that they are open. So we have a space for the students. We have 11 groups, 9 groups in person, 2 groups online. Okay, we have different levels: beginners, basic, beginners, high. We have intermediate levels. In Atenas is the other location. Right now we have 6 groups in Atenas, 4 in person, 2 online, and we have now 3 groups open in Savannah. So 1 in person, 2 online. Pablo, but this is new.
Okay. I'm typing, and I'm gonna put this on the screen.
This is new, Pablo. We will open a new location in San Ramon. We will open a new location in San Ramon. If you are from San Ramon, now you know that we will be there soon. Plus, okay, in this case, we will have Spanish classes and volunteering. Okay, if you want to do projects for volunteers, we will be there.
Okay, and now we have to start thinking about opening in Panama. We have lots of people asking.
Well,
Panama. So these locations are for physical offices where you guys could go take the class in Costa Rica. Hopefully, we get to start opening offices in Panama, different places in Mexico and in Spain. But in the meantime, you guys could connect to a private class online as well. So It doesn't matter where you are.
Exactly.
That's Pablo, amazing. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. Anything else?
No. It's okay. To remember, this is in my website. I think we have the website there. So classes in Santana, classes in Atenas, classes in Savannah, sessions online. If you are in Panama, you want to take classes with us, no problem. We can do it online. If you are in the United States, if you are in Canada, so we have students in Europe. So if you are there and you want classes, we can do it online. Okay, and very soon, our sessions in San Ramon.